this vodcast will hopefully be viewed by students. And my question to you is, what do you hear that the industry is telling you that students maybe do well? What could students do better? And what would you kind of have them think about their path forward into, let's say they're mid-career, even if you can think that far out.
Mm-hmm.
But what advice would you give them, and what would you tell them that they need to work on?
So I would answer that from a lens of, I do a lot of referencing in what I do, right? Sometimes we get a candidate down to the very end, and I'm asking people, so just have a lot of data points on who's done what well. So if I were to just think about what do successful executives, generally speaking and in banking, do, and that things that you can do early on in your career, number one is go seek out great mentors. I run into very few really successful, really good executives now that didn't have some really good mentors. I mean, I ask about it when I interview somebody. Mm-hmm. I ask them who their mentors are, and it's not a be-all, end-all answer, but it's a trail of breadcrumbs for me to know if they've been developed, who those mentors are, and what they learned from them. Right? So, go find the best person in your company as soon as you graduate, and go add value to their career. A lot of people, I think this is something that a lot of people would agree on is, I'm not trying to pick on any particular generation. However, you do have a reputation. You need to know that as a generation of expecting a lot, right? Yeah. And I think that anybody who's come to me, and I've had people come to me and say, hey, I want to develop in this area. I want to learn how to pitch. I want to get on, a research person wanting to get on the phones, whatever else. What I always tell them is the same. Do it, right? I mean, just proactively do it. Do your day job of what you're being asked to do. Complete that fast, right? Don't make me suffer there. Don't make me have to add something in and take something away. Mm-hmm. Show that you're a real go-getter. Get it done in a great fashion and go up and say, hey, what else could I do? Yeah. You don't even need to have that person be your boss. You could just, if you get your work done, and then go to somebody who you think is impressive in the organization and saying, hey, I could use something else. What are you working on that I might be able to help with? That person is highly likely to try to take you under their wing if you do that 2 or 3 times. They may even say no. Keep asking them. You will shine if you do that. So that's number one. Number two is, I don't know how many I have here, by the way. I think I've got a few, but it sounds like I've got a list. The second biggest thing that I see people struggle with is their communication skills, right? The biggest tip I could give somebody is start with the high-level summary. And in a meeting, if you're working with a superior, I think that's, if you distilled most individuals' communication style that ends up rubbing somebody the wrong way or doesn't impress the other individual, I think a lot of it is they just weren't focused on the right details. They went too deep and their mind wandered over here. I'm guilty of it myself. I think everybody can be. But just kind of thinking ahead of what message do I want to get across? I'm gonna take them all the way to home plate, and then I'm gonna round the bases with them if they want to. I want to make sure they're interested. Yeah. And then another thing I would tell graduates is, developing yourself, learning something new all the time. I mean, it's a similar advice to what I shared around finishing your work quickly and going. But if you really want to progress in your career, I mean, go ask anybody who's been successful what they did. And most times they worked really hard. They read and got smarter about things. They're very inquisitive. Yeah. There is a propensity, and I worked in a big firm where it just felt like the culture to be promoted was to act like I'm a 20-year consultant and act like I know everything, right? And I'm always been so candid, been the first one to raise my hand when I don't understand something. And I had plenty of people kind of look at me sideways, but I knew back then, and I still believe it now, asking questions of things you don't know usually doesn't get the visceral response that you're scared of happening. You usually are seen as being candid and honest and trustworthy and wanting to learn. And so ask and say, hey, I didn't fully follow that, or I've heard y'all use that term, or I didn't really follow what you meant there, whatever that was. People will take you under the wing if you ask. So just always be trying to learn more, because all of a sudden, if you do have a learning mindset, all of a sudden you look up and you know a lot, because you haven't been acting like you know, you haven't been closed off to what everybody else knows, because you can learn from everybody. I have learned that. Again, I don't know if I said this already. I think I've interviewed 22,000 people, And it's the first thing that I do when I realize somebody is a complete waste of time, which unfortunately some just are.
Yes.
My mind has always just gone to, well, what am I going to be able to learn from them? And so I immediately just start to, because I can't unfortunately just hang up the phone. I can't just drop the meeting. I'll ask them about their companies. How did that company make money? What did they do? What's the story there? Who else were you really impressed with there? If they're over a particular function, right? Maybe they're over, rate risk analysis. Well, I don't really know what that means. Can you explain it to me? Can you tell me what that really means in layman's terms? I've heard that term a bunch, but I really don't know it. I mean, how do you day-to-day run rate risk analysis? How often do you do it? Yeah. Why do you do it? What's the outcome? Always be asking these questions when you don't understand. Be inquisitive and your career will take off.
It's fantastic advice. Very, very good advice. I also hear from companies sometimes about, for lack of better terminology, professional etiquette. Could you talk a little bit about that? Have you seen any train wrecks there that are memorable or that you can at least talk about? Or maybe we do really well at that. I know, there's probably always room for improvement, but I do think maybe we're a little better in some areas than others around the country here at Ole Miss, at least.
I'll admit, I am not the most formal, so I am also probably not the best person to give professional etiquette advice. But here's what I would say. I do actually think that a more casual approach plays now in 2025 more than ever before, right? I don't think that you need to be formal, corporate, or robotic. That said, people will notice if you're prepared. They will pick up on that. So whenever you have a meeting, mark time on your calendar. You will get too busy to be prepared for everything in your life. I promise you. If you're decent at what you do, you will get really, really busy. And I have to mark off time before important calls that I know I need to. I'll do a status call where I'm going to talk about half a dozen or more people who've each had half a dozen or more jobs each. And I'm trying to remember the sizes, where they went, how old their kids are, can they relocate, all these things. It takes me time to prepare. So that's been one thing for me, is to manage my list, take time to prepare. And once I started to do that a few years ago, I was just so much more natural and comfortable. And it's really made a difference for me.
That's great advice too.
And the other thing around etiquette, as I'd say, is people want you to be open and transparent. I think there is just, some people are less comfortable being just open and transparent, but I promise you, that's the only way to build trust, is to highlight things really fast. Never let your boss be surprised.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You always really want to get ahead of things with them, right? And come in with a plan. Hey, I see this evolving, or this just happened. I just processed it on my own before I came in here. Here's how I would suggest we move forward here. What do you think, boss? I've gone in there with the problem in my early 20s and didn't have any solutions and didn't have anything to write on, and that was not a good moment. I still remember that moment very well. And I've learned a really good approach that I've seen done by a lot of really good executives and good teams, is they're always acknowledging an email, even when they need more time to respond. I think unanswered emails, nobody likes email, but your responsiveness, even to acknowledge, okay, I got this, I see this, and giving them a time when you're going to respond back, that'll set you apart from those that just kind of let it linger a day or two. Because if it's important to the other person and they're important to your success, believe me, they're wondering when you're going to reply.
Yeah, that's good advice too.